Good morning and welcome to the Morning Report. My name is Willie Lawson. The Morning Report is a production of fightbackmedia.com, 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 and fightbackmediatv.com. We are thrilled that you are with us this glorious, fantastic, amazing day. It's going to be a little rainy early here in West Central Florida. It's only gotten to the temperature of 84 degrees and it's still sunny. I know, 10 o'clock in the morning, it's only 84 degrees. Hey, listen, I like to throw a wet blanket, a cool wet blanket over our friends in the UK. I met some guests at my second job from the UK, and they were looking to going back to 40-degree temperatures in the UK. And they don't have what we have here in the States. They don't have, especially in Florida, they don't have the access to air conditioning like we do, because it just never gets that hot. Just take care, drink lots and lots of water, folks. Especially my guests who were here, drink lots and lots of water. Try to stay in the shade as much as possible. Keep your skin cool as much as you can. Ice. Just take care of yourself. Want to see you back in the Sunshine State, where we do heat and air conditioning, healthy this time next year. All right. It just, I know, it just doesn't ever seem to stop, does it? So today we're going to talk about a couple of things. There's a New York Magazine article talking about the death of the Democrats' agenda. They believe that it is complete. I don't know if that's true, but we will talk about it. And something happened for the first time since the Civil War. Wow, that would be historic, wouldn't it? That would be an historic thing. So we'll talk about that. I'll let you know what that is. I think this is kind of petty, and this is from our friend Matt Vespa at Town Hall. It was a rendition of the national anthem by whatever the Palestinian honor guard was. We'll talk about that too. And I'll be able to come to that as a classically trained saxophonist. Yes. All right. So we're going to get a little break. We'll be back with more of the program right after these messages. All right. Again, welcome back to the program. We appreciate you being here. We appreciate that you guys are watching the programs that we can put up on YouTube. We appreciate the programs that we're able to put up on Rumble. Rumble, RUMBLE. That's the way we spell Rumbly. It's one of those. Apparently, you know, that rhyme was made up by a bunch of leftists because that's how they do it. It's not enough to just vote blue. Calling out Democrats were calling out your bluff, whatever that was just the stupidest thing anyway. And we talked about that. If you want to know what I'm talking about, you have to watch or you have to listen to the program from yesterday. Yeah, we're going to do a new thing too. We're going to try a new thing for the next couple of weeks. We'll tell you about a little later in the program. So let's go ahead and get started with what we're talking about today. Is the agenda of the Democrats? Did they have their 2 years to do it all? Did they get it done? This is again a New York Magazine came up with this, and this is an article about my friend, our friend Matt Vespa at townhall.com. You can get a hold of Matt Vespa on Twitter at mvespa1. The number 1, mvespa1. This article was written this morning. He was up early. All right. It reads: the Democrats are coming out of the trees and bushes, forming battalion columns, and I love this. And everyone has their bayonets fixed. It is the legislative version of Pickett's charge, and they're all geared towards destroying Senator Joe Manchin, the Democrat from West Virginia. With the West Virginia Democrat killed his party's last hope of passing a substantial spending bill. One of the provisions addressed global warming. The meltdown that occurred last week was biblical. The Democrats were declaring that we were all going to die without the new spending bill. It's always interesting that somehow these people have figured out that if they just spend enough money, they can save the planet. If we just spend more money, we can save the planet. No, no, no. How about if we just plant more trees? No, that won't do it. We have to spend billions, trillions of dollars. Oh, okay. Could we just buy a few million trees every year, cool the earth down? Trees produce oxygen. No, okay. We're all gonna die if we don't. If we don't rob you blind, we're all gonna die. All right. The meltdown that occurred last week again was biblical. Some Democrats were declaring that we're all going to die. Others scoffed at Manchin's position of power with these negotiations under a 50-50 Senate. But that's the deal. If there's a 50-50 Senate, somebody can show up and go, I am going to be the deciding vote. I'm going to be the wild card. And this is all that Joe Manchin has done. Hell, I'd have done it. I'd have been that guy. So I don't get why anyone's shocked. Look at his record. Manchin is the last moderate to conservative-ish senator on the Hill. He hails from a deep red state. His likability and retail politics skills are through the roof. This dude can, shake hands and kiss babies and occasionally knock back a little mason jar of a moonshine with the best of them. And that in a lot of places still counts. That in a lot of places is more important than flowery language and uplifting speeches and blah, blah, blah. Sometimes you just got to get in there and shake hands and kiss them babies. Little shoulder banging. How you doing? You know what I'm saying, right? That works well in a lot of places. And I think West Virginia is still one of those places. This isn't new. I feel like folks of all political stripes have been yelling about the Democratic Party's unsustainable future being being one made up of college-educated whites. The coast and the cities will not secure a long-term future. Meanwhile, Trump has created a coalition that is one of the most effectively dispersed in recent memory. Trump folks live in areas where elections are decided. They are motivated and they are a mishmash of a variety of political views. And I want to stop here because this is what we were talking about yesterday. When people are when the left wants to say that people are distancing themselves from Donald Trump, not at all. These very same people that we're talking about, that Matt's talking about here in this article, are the same people that are figuring out that what we're dealing with is a lot bigger than Donald Trump. Donald Trump's a good guy, and we're going to put this over here because what happened in 2020 was eh. So, but right now we are concerned with what's happening in our lives right this very moment. The Democrats misjudged them. They thought that they had chopped the head off the snake, and they continue to hack away at it, but it's not working. It's not working. White working class voters have flocked to the GOP. We're going to talk about it a little bit later. Now, non-white working class voters are doing the same thing. That's electoral death in an election. New York Magazine does well to highlight that point. It also gives some political cover to Manchin, who is not the sole reason for the Democrats' 2-year failure in governing. Jonathan Chait documents what went wrong, which solely hinges on Democrats' inability to prioritize with slim congressional majorities. No, they do what Democrats do. They just went hog wild. They just took off down the road. They were not, it was interesting. They were not smart. Like, I have given Democrats credit for being smart and sneaky and but in this particular 2-year period, they have not been. I don't know if they thought that Biden was going to die, or they thought that he was a different dude than he is. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if they thought that maybe Kamala Harris would have more power, more influence than she does. I'm not sure what the hell they were thinking. I think they overestimated Trump fatigue. That's part of it. So yeah, the inability to prioritize. They had just slim congressional majority. I mean, they really, with a 50-50 in the Senate could easily be their stumbling block every single time, and especially with the filibuster being in place. They just, I don't know, bad strategy. I don't know if they hired GOP strategists because it's really horrific strategy as it's playing out. The social items are now a messy subject to debate amongst those folks since everyone has lost the plot on simple things like basic biology and scientific facts. Democrats, men, are able to carry children. Chait credits other Democrats in Manchin's mold, like Kristen Sinema, the Democrat from Arizona, for being some of the most vocal supporters of tax increases on the rich in trying to maintain the party's populist roots. Tough, tough. Here's what they say. Here's what the New York Mag says. Manchin is merely the most prominent author of a catastrophe that has 1,000 fathers. The facts are certain to emerge in the coming days and weeks. Those privy to negotiations had every reason to withhold their complaints while success remained possible. A collapse will open a floodgate of recriminations. Even so, several broad causes are already apparent. The administration's broad strategy was to use this first major piece of legislation enacted at the crest of Biden's political capital shortly after he took office to stimulate the economy as it recovered from the COVID recession. Only after that would they craft an enduring social reforms. The theory, which seems logical to many of us at the time, was first to ensure a prosperous economy and then leverage the political benefit of that prosperity to pass permanent social welfare measures. Instead, the American Job Plan overshot. Yes. What did I just say? What did Willie just say? What did I just tell you? Injecting more demand into an already heating economy. It did not cause high inflation, but exacerbated it. And thus, rather than producing a prosperous economy, it gave Democrats more confidence to pass Biden's domestic agenda. It led to a sour inflationary economy that has them running for cover. Biden's plan did include one measure the Democrats intend to seed permanent reform and enhance child tax credit. The bill funded payments for just 1 year. They believe the payments would prove so popular that the public would demand they continue. Now that is super Democrat, right? Give you a little bit. Hey, you know what? Let's take this right here. Let's take this right here. No, just take it. Take it. You like it. And it was so good that you be coming back begging for it the next year. Social scientists have unequivocally shown that payments reduce child poverty by impressive levels without the side effects on parental work effort that conservatives warned about. This is from the New York Bank, yet Manchin opposed extending the payments anyway, reportedly muttering in private that his constituents were squandering the money on drugs. Now, somebody got to tell the truth about this kind of stuff. Somebody got to speak up. Somebody got to say, you know what's happening, right? You know what's happening. We're giving this money to these people, and you know what's happening, right? Some of them are taking that money and spending it on whatever. And adults, people who are grown-ups know that they've seen women get child support money and spend it on hair and nails. While, your brother or your dad or your cousin, your ex-brother-in-law, you know they are working their butt off, and their ex or their baby mama be at the hair salon getting them $300 braids in every 2 weeks. And while their children got snot coming down their nose and are a mess. Tell me that doesn't happen. Okay, I'll wait. Tell me that that never happens. Yes. So if Manchin said, you know what's happening with a lot of that money. So probably true. But the failure of this broad strategy gamble was followed by a series of small tactical errors. Manchin remained willing to support sizable measures privately with Majority Leader Chuck Schumer to vote for $1.5 trillion bill in the fall, then bungling a negotiation between Manchin and Biden in the White House. The hypersensitive Manchin demanded the White House refrain from naming him as the instigator of a pause in negotiation. Inexplicably, the White House spokesman triggered him anyway, naming him in the statement. So Joe Manchin has figured out these people, they're trying to, they're trying to throw Joe Manchin under the bus because for them, it's more important to win West Virginia than anything. Now, I don't. Now, Vespa writes. Now, I disagree that the tax cuts benefited the rich. Even CNN noted that the middle class would get relief. Bernie Sanders agreed, but added that the cuts don't go far enough into the working class. That's different from saying this package was a giveaway to the wealthy. The reason why Biden hasn't touched the Trump tweaks to the salt taxes is that they're popular. It's a good policy. And there was talk about making the bulk of the Trump's 2017 tax cuts permanent. It's crazy. It's ironic. Democrats railed against Trump and the Bush tax cuts only to make 82% of the latter permanent policy during fiscal cliff talks under Obama. They could move on Trump's at a later date. Chaitin rails at Democrats for wasting time on budget gimmicks that manufacture a mirage of regarding the party's top action items that were not sustainable under the system. Things got even worse when Biden's COVID relief bill did nothing but jack up inflation and create a new recession. The calls for a new spending quickly die, and all this dismal economic news dropping during a midterm election. Now, I've said in private, I have said in public, I don't think for 1 second, I don't believe for 1 second that Joe Biden gets up in the morning, takes a shower, brushes his dentures or teeth. I don't know. I'm guessing he's got his own teeth. I don't know. He's probably had access to great dental care his entire adult life for sure. And gets dressed and gets on the elevator and goes downstairs to the Oval Office, arranges his desk and goes, "Let's get to work." I don't believe that for one moment. I believe this. I believe that Joe Biden, sometime at about 11 or 12 o'clock in the morning, gets a call from somebody downstairs in the White House that says um, the president needs to be downstairs at 1:30 this afternoon. And Joe goes, "Okay, I'll have him ready." And they get him ready. And she brushes his hair and puts his suit on him and make sure that he has that the White House staff has fed him his little breakfast and puts him in the elevator, kisses him on the cheek and presses the button. Downstairs he goes, where somebody is waiting to escort him to the Oval Office. And they have in front of him what to say. Now, he doesn't go to the Oval Office to do speeches because they can't put a teleprompter there for some reason. I don't know why they could do that, but they don't have a teleprompter there. So if he needs to make a speech or he needs to make an announcement, he goes to their sound stage and makes an announcement. And when they're done with him, they send him back upstairs for his nap. That's the president of the United States. And with that being the case, this Democrat agenda has been dead on arrival. My name is Willie Lawson. This is the Morning Report. We'll be back with more of the Morning Report right after these messages. All right, welcome back. Welcome back to the program. We appreciate you being here. Yes, my name is Willie Lawson, and I talk for a living. Although you wouldn't know it sometimes, you wouldn't know it at all. All right, let's go ahead and I'll just tell you now. When I'm done with this today, it came to me last night that I'm gonna do something I'm gonna call Tuesday morning. In the beginning, it's only going to be one day a week, where I just don't talk about news stories. I want to talk about you. I want to talk about the impact in your life. I want to talk about what we're going through here, what I'm going through as a 61-year-old Black person in America, and what 61-year-old dudes go through. And I just want to connect a little bit and do something a little different. Hope that you'll enjoy it. Hope that you'll appreciate it and participate in it. Some a little different. Some a little different. And and if it's something that you don't want, then I'll probably stop doing it. But if it's something that you enjoy, then we'll continue. All right, something happened, and that is going to be on YouTube, and that will also be on Rumble as well. So you can check that out. But something happened for the first time since the Civil War in Kentucky. Something happened since the first time. The Kentucky Wildcats won the SEC. No, that's never happened, and they're not going to. Sorry. Well, not in football anyway. Basketball, yes, but not in football. All right. Kentucky Republicans are celebrating voter registration totals. Now, as much as a lot of us have this hate, love, or hate like relationship with Mitch McConnell, Kentucky Republicans celebrated Friday when the State Board of Elections announced the number of registered GOP voters surpassed registered Democrats for the first time. The first time. 1,612,060 to 1,609,569. Now, this is a razor thin thing, but it's never happened. After a century and a half, the birthplace of Lincoln is finally aligned with the party of Lincoln. Republican Secretary of State Michael Adams said of the numbers, just 40 years ago, Democrats made up 68% of registered voters in Kentucky, more than doubling the 28% registered Republican. While Republicans have made significant electoral gains since the 80s, particularly dominating federal races, they were slower to make gains in voter registration, as many in rural parts of the states remain registered Democrats to vote in local primaries, where the party is still dominated. It's kind of like a Florida thing, where in federal elections, well, in Florida, you don't know what's going to happen in a federal election. Trump may win Florida. Trump may lose Florida. Obama will win Florida when you thought that Obama wouldn't win Florida, but he did. But the Florida state elections, Republicans have been in charge for years and years and years and years. Well, at the local level, when we're talking about mayoral and city council and that, like, Democrats rule the roost. While Republicans have made, again, significant change in electoral gains since the 1980s, particularly in dominating federal races, they were slower to make gains in voter registration. Same thing here in Florida. Many in rural parts of the state remain registered Democrats to vote in local primaries. Here's the news. Growth since Beshear's inauguration in 2019. Democrats have lost 72, in this is Kentucky, 72,000 registrations. Republicans have gained 142,000, and 40,000 or so have gone to other things. Growth since Biden's inauguration in 2021. Democrats continue to lose 57,000 registrations. Republicans gained, I think, a meager 34,000 registrations, while others have gained 16,000. So the growth from July 15, 2021 to July 15, 2022, in a year, Democrats have lost 40,000 registrations, while Republicans have picked up, not all of them, but 35,000 registrations, while the rest were picked up by other whatever, either NPA or libertarian or socialist or whatever. Okay, now the growth from let's see, June 15th. Now, just this past June 15th of 2020 to July, in a month, in the past month, Democrats are still losing. They lost 2,754 registrations to Republicans' gain of 3,857 registrations, with 1,600 or so going to something else. In Kentucky, whatever's going on in Kentucky, Democrats are losing ground. Senator Minority Leader Mitch McConnell of Kentucky cheered the news as a day I never thought would happen. After decades of hard work and grassroots efforts across the Commonwealth, registered Republicans now outnumber registered Democrats in Kentucky. He said in a statement, "Congratulations to all my fellow Republicans who have worked so hard and so long to make this historic day possible. This is great news for the Commonwealth, but just the beginning." Now, can you keep them? Can you keep them? And if you can keep them, will they work for you? Because what you don't want is a protest change in registration. Who cares? The idea, if you're protesting by registration, and what was actually happening is that those people are going to vote Democrat in local elections anyway. And my guess is it's a lot like here, where in a local election you may only have Democrats to vote for. You may only have Democrats to vote for. If you're not running Republican candidates, what difference does it make? We'll see. All right. This next article is kind of right up my alley. It is an article by our friend Matt Vespa again. Did the Palestinian Honor Guard intentionally botch the playing of the Star Spangled Banner? Well, I listened to it, and those of you who have benefit of the video will hear it. So if you're listening on the podcast and you're like, well, I didn't get to hear it, well, you have to go to YouTube or go to Rumble and see the video. Yeah, you're gonna have to do that. I don't think so. I really don't think so. I think that a lot of people don't understand that when we're talking about Middle Eastern instruments, I think that a lot of times those instruments aren't made very well. to start with. They're not made very well to start with, and their intonation is not an it's an Eastern intonation, not a Western intonation. And I know for some of you that doesn't mean anything, but we're talking about in Eastern music, Eastern Indian, East Middle Eastern music. Um, they play in between the pitches a lot. In Western music, we have something we'll call half steps in tones, where it goes up from the white key to the next black key, and then the black key to the next white key on the piano. In a lot of Eastern music, a lot of that music is actually between those two keys. Those two keys. That's why it sounds the way it does. Because they're actually playing their instruments in between those notes. So for those of you who were in band or orchestra, you guys can get this in chorus, I know. If you have an F and an F sharp, there are a myriad of tones in between the F and the F sharp. And in Eastern music, they use a lot of those tones. So the intonation for Western music that doesn't isn't really all that good all the time. So it sounded a lot like a lot of those bands, those military bands that aren't nearly as good as our military bands, not even in the least um, playing our national anthem. I don't think they did it on purpose. I just think that they weren't going to play it much better than that. Now, I don't know about the quality of that particular group. I don't know about the quality of that particular group, if they were their top group or not. They definitely didn't sound like the president's own military band. I mean, Marine band. That's for doggone sure, which is a top flight group of musicians. Plus, maybe they don't put as much emphasis on that kind of stuff as we do. But I think it dangerous and maybe a bit petty to say that they botched it on purpose. No, I'm guessing not. I mean, you guys are assuming that this band is this group, this honor guard is like the president's own. There's nobody in the world like the president's own. Nobody. Nobody. All right. Or even a lot of the post bands. There you go. Oh, breaking news. This is from my friend Jeff Charles. Jeff Charles is a writer at redstate.com, good friend of mine. He says, breaking, New York City District Attorney Alvin Bragg says the Good Samaritan who shot and killed a mass shooter in Indiana should be arrested for second-degree murder. This man's actions were almost as bad as that knife-wielding bodega worker, he told reporters. Wow. All right, we got to get out of here and make room for somebody else. So until we see you again, go out there. care of yourself. We'll see you when we see you. Bye bye now.